viewing from. Good morning to everybody who's tuning from the US, and good afternoon for our viewers and listeners from the UK. And for my Australian mates, it's actually good evening. So thanks for tuning in into the Greatness Engineering Hour show. It's a show sponsored by the Mireille Tulekima Global Leadership Organization, and I am Mireille Tulekima. I'm going to be your host today. I founded the Mireille Tulekima Global Leadership Organization, and I launched the Greatness Engineering movement last year. That's a movement promoting greatness in all dimensions around the world and calling, individuals to really step out of their comfort zone and really unleash their greatness and become the best version of themselves. And the most important thing, take massive action to make their world better and the world, their environment better as well. So today we have two fantastic panelists who are actually engineering greatness in their own capacity, in their own terms, and I presume in every dimension of their lives. So they are incredible individuals who are actually creating positive impact in their community, and I'm actually very excited today. So tune in and make sure you take some notes, because there's going to be a lot of insight today, a lot of inspiration, and I think you're not gonna, your hour is gonna be really full on. So who are those, two great individuals that I have today? I have Serena Sabala from the UK today. And Serena is a wellness coach. She's a certified yoga teacher as well, and also a fitness trainer. And she is also specialized in plant-based nutrition. And she has a specific holistic approach to health and wellness. So she focuses on helping professional, especially very busy professional, to help them, make the shift to the most fit, healthy, and satisfied self. So she's going to talk about it during the show. She'll get the opportunity to introduce herself properly and talk about what she does. Joining us from the US, it's Patrick Metzger. And Patrick is a life and high performance coach, and he's also a speaker, and he works with individual business owners around the US, and he helped them discover, their, and I read here, their ultimate potential and highest performance. So he really focused on performance and making sure that those individuals that he works with actually get to perform to the highest of their capacity, and also focusing on their self-development, their health, and the wellness as well. So we're going to hear much more about Patrick as well later. And so Patrick and Serena, welcome. Like I said, I'm so excited to have you on the show today, and this is just going to be amazing. So I want to ask you to start, and I'll start with Serena, is to let us know exactly who you are, what you do, and in a bit more details, and how you came up to do what you do.
Sure. Well, thank you for having me. It's great to be here. And thank you for the great introduction. You kind of touched on some of the main points. I'm a certified plant-based nutrition consultant, yoga teacher, as well as a fitness trainer. Mm-hmm. I have co-founded Whole Shift Wellness together with my husband. And we bring together over 20 years of combined experience in various fields of the wellness industry. Mm-hmm. And this has allowed us to develop a proven methodology to shift you to your most fit, healthy, and confident self within 1 year. Together, we've had the pleasure of contributing to the health and well-being of over 500 professionals across 5 countries. So this has really added a lot of depth to our experience. We believe in a holistic approach to health and well-being. We've been able to identify what we call the 3 pillars of your optimal level of health, fitness, and mind-body confidence. So our proven 5 steps methodology allows you to strengthen all 3 pillars in a very systematic and holistic way. So that what we aim to achieve for you is not so much change, as we like to say, transformation. Change goes and comes. Transformation is yours for a lifetime. So our approach, our methodology, and our shifts start with a 3 months minimum commitment and go as far in as years, because we believe that actually it takes a bit longer than people tend to believe to really spark this transformation and achieve results that will be yours for a lifetime.
So it's a long-term commitment, no short-term, looking at short-term results. When you start, you have to follow through the, for the rest of your life, and I think that's the difficult part, isn't it? To have people to commit for the long term, because people really want, a lot of people want short-term result and then do something, during a certain time and then stop it, and then they probably go back to their own, old bad habits. So that must be a big challenge to keep them on track, but we'll come to it later. Patrick, what about yourself? Tell us a bit more about what you do and how you came up to do what you do and impacting your community as well.
Yeah, for sure. Good morning, you guys, and thanks again, Marie, for having me. Excited to be on here today. So yeah, what I do is, and like Serena said, you touched on it at the beginning there, my mission is to discover and support individuals and businesses in really discovering and igniting their ultimate potential and highest performance. I'm a big believer in every single one of us as people, and every single organization. There is just an enormous more amount of potential that can really be tapped into. And so many people, number one, don't pursue it. And number two, probably more than anything, don't know where to start in order to get to that point. So kind of my background is I was actually a teacher for a little over 10 years. And I left teaching because I kind of felt drawn to help people in a different way. And I've always been a coach. I've always been an educator. I've always loved helping people reach goals and become their best self. And I left teaching in order to pursue this kind of in a roundabout way. So I started my online business a few years ago, and I really started out doing a lot of health wellness type things. And then I really quickly started transitioning into much more of a holistic and large scale approach with not just individuals, but now working with businesses as well, as far as getting them on track, doing a lot of personal development with their employees, because I'm a big supporter of an employee's professional ceiling is going to be limited by their personal ceiling. So if I can come into a business, I can raise the level of your employees on a personal level. You're going to have a more efficient, more productive professional as well within your business. And I also do EOS implementation as well with businesses. So helping them get back on track as far as if they've maybe hit that ceiling or are looking to grow and scale their business further and maybe not quite sure where to start, and coming in and really providing them with a proven systematic process that they can implement over a few years to really push them to a whole nother level eventually on their own once I'm done working with them.
So listening to you guys, I mean, it looks like the human being, in what capacity that we have, we actually tend to limit ourselves, and we don't really push ourselves to what we can do. And I think it's important to have professionals like you to remind us that we can always, go higher, we can always do better. And so I want to know, what are the challenges, because a lot of the thing that we are doing right now is really always quick, and even in the education system, there's a lot of limitation. They put a lot of limitation on the student, not really focusing on every individual and how they can actually thrive and go beyond the limit that they put themselves into it. So I just wanted to know, what are the key challenges that you, going through or went through with your clients to explain to them the benefit of what you're doing in the long term, especially because, like I said, a lot of people tend to focus on the short term and then not really looking at the long term and how the impact that it can actually have in their life and in the society in general. Who wants to start? Patrick? Yeah?
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry about that.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Serena, then.
Yeah.
So, yes, for an instance, and this is really true when it comes to health and well-being, sadly, the industry is saturated of short-term fixes.
Mm-hmm.
So many of our shifters, as we call them, call to us with their mind a little bit polluted by what's out there, all these pills and tricks and quick short-term solutions. But the truth of the matter is that in most cases, they've tried all of that. So they have first-hand experience of what it is like to give it a go, mm-hmm. and they have first-hand experience of the fact that a short-term solution is not going to bring long-term results. So most of them actually come to us with already a sense of awareness around the fact that, like I said before, if you're looking for change, there's plenty of short-term solutions out there that can help you create short-term change. Mm-hmm. If you're looking for transformation, however, you're going to have to dig a little bit deeper. Mm-hmm. So they come to us with a sense of awareness around that. Then obviously, as we delve deep into our methodology and we unpack our approach, they soon discover that the process might actually take even longer than they originally intended. However, once you take them through the journey, mm-hmm. and educate them as to why you're going through it the way you're doing it, and you're doing it for their own benefits, ultimately, they are able to see that essentially these are all busy professionals that come to us mostly in their late 30s, early 40s, and even older. Mm-hmm. So we're able to unpack with them essentially what it is that is the road that took them to where they are right now, and how long did that take, because your health and well-being starts when you're very young, and every single choice that you make from when you're very young has an impact on mm-hmm. when you end up, right? So if it's taking you 10, 20, 50 years even sometimes to get to where you are right now, it is only logical to assume that it can't possibly take 10 days to reverse mm-hmm. and undo all those embedded habits and routines that need upgrading.
And that's the crazy thing for most of us, and I've been guilty to do that as well, is that you think that you can reverse something that you've been doing for years in weeks, and you tend to get discouraged when you go through the process, and yet you have to still continue and probably account for the same amount of time to actually come back to the right habits, so.
Well, thankfully, it doesn't take as long as it took to build the habits, to undo the habits, especially if you do so with the help of a professional that knows mm-hmm. what to look for and has a proven methodology to back you up. And, there's a support system there. There's accountability, which is the thing that makes all the difference. So the good news is, if it took you 20 years to end up in the current state of health, wellness, and life satisfaction, it's not going to take you 20 years to reverse mm-hmm. And get to your greatest level of mind-body confidence, but it's also not going to take 2 weeks. Yeah. And so the process is very much a process of educating them and having them see it for themselves. And I must say, there has not been an instance where that hasn't happened, because mm-hmm. like I mentioned before, those who choose to work with us are the very people who have tried the same DIY cheap solutions, short-term fixes time and time again, and they know that stuff doesn't work, and they're looking for a refreshing, liberating, and empowering alternative to that. So they just have to be a little bit more educated as to what the processes are, and trust the process and lean into the process and understand that in the long run, if they continue doing short-term DIY solutions, they'll keep wasting even more time. Whereas if they commit to one medium to long-term solution and dig very deep, really it's going to be the quickest way to get to where they want to.
And Patrick, what do you think? How was your experience of with your clients and the different challenge that you've gone through, or that you're going through? How did you handle that?
Yeah, my answer honestly would be very similar to Serena's. It doesn't matter if it's health, wellness, doesn't matter if it's your mindset or whether it's your business. Everybody wants the quick fix. We live in such an instant gratification society where everybody wants everything. They want to find that solution right now. So one of the biggest challenges by far is getting people to make that long-term commitment, because that is what it is going to take in order to get you to a different place, to reach a higher level, whether it's physically, mentally, whether it's your business, whatever it may be. And you bring up a really good point too, Marie, when you mentioned, humans limit themselves. In my keynote talk, I actually talk about this exactly, how if you think of all the living creatures on the planet, from bacteria to trees to you name it, everything tries to flourish and grow and reproduce as much as possible. And humans are the only thing on the entire planet that will limit themselves, right? They'll limit their performance because of things like fears and self-limiting doubts and beliefs and anxiety and stresses of every day. So what I really do with people is I put them through kind of a 5-step process as far as working with individuals anyway. So I really start with getting to the root core of issues, because most people look at their issues very, very superficially. They think it has to do with this, but when you get down to it, it's really about something much, much, much deeper. So I really start people at the foundation with things like finding clarity, vision, establishing their values, their core values, and really like a personal mission statement of what they want out of life and where they really want to get to. And then working on a lot of goal setting, and then moving through things like self-awareness and identity, developing a stronger mindset, and getting people organized then. And then really kind of that is a huge piece of the puzzle, kind of throughout the entire program as I'm working with people. But yeah, I would say the biggest challenges that I see with people are they want the quick fix. Mm-hmm. They don't want to, they have trouble sometimes too putting up the money for something because they don't initially see the long-term value in it. Mm-hmm. And they really have to be in it they really have to make a long-term commitment. And you think about the price, what's it worth to you to feel way better than you do, to be happier with yourself, to feel more balanced, to be more fulfilled in your life, personally, professionally, with your family, everything. It's priceless. Mm-hmm. And once you invest initially and you do it, then you're kind of set, and you can continue those habits and those things that you've built over working with a professional from there on.
And that's right. I mean, sometimes people are very hesitant to invest, and especially something. Your health is actually the most important thing that you have, because if you're not healthy, then nothing you can't do anything. And even with that, they want to bargain or not spend the money that needed for them to function properly. And I think what I get from what you're saying is that it actually comes down to us. I mean, we tend to look at external solution, but at the end of the day, it's about us, it's about our mindset, and we have to start from the inside and then get the result on the outside. So really great and powerful concept that you both bring in here. But I mean, like everyone else, you certainly went through some tough moments, and you probably had failure along your personal or professional journey. And I wanted to ask you, and that's for the benefit of the audience, how did you overcome those, you overcame those obstacles and challenges that you encounter, and how did you manage? Because I'm looking here at a process, tools or process that you've used that can actually be, shared with the audience today. And what was the narrative that you told yourself in those moments? Because those are moments of self-doubt. You start to, and not believe in yourself. So what was the process, and what was the thought that you have, and then how did you manage that?
It's a brilliant question. Very brilliant question, and it's interesting because it takes me back to the first question that you asked me, which is how I ended up doing what I do. Mm-hmm. And the truth of the matter is that the seed for health and wellness was planted in me at a very young age. Mm-hmm. And it was a result of trauma indeed, because my father, when I was only 8 years old, was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. Mm-hmm. And he was a highly successful business owner who had mm-hmm. built a business from scratch over a very short period of time. And he was so brilliant, he even created a profession that didn't exist before mm-hmm. his time. So he was a truly remarkable entrepreneur. However, he didn't have the tools in his tool bag to be able to take the best possible care of himself, and at the same time handle the pressures of this fast-growing business and the pressure of a young family. There was just too many pieces into this puzzle, and he didn't have the tools to be able to come back to himself and take care of himself. And as a result of that, he got really ill and lost everything he worked so hard to build for his entire life.
Wow.
So I became really present at a really young age of how fundamentally important your own health and well-being is, and how taking care of yourself might really just be the most selfless thing you'll ever do. Because I was a young child of a father, and we went from having a brilliant life to really, really struggling on so many levels. Mm-hmm. And it was highly traumatizing to me as a result of him not being able to take care of himself. Mm-hmm. And I think some of the work, going back to what we were saying before, some of the work that I do with our shifter is to make them become really, really present with what are the outcomes of you not taking care of yourself. What are the long-term losses? What are the repercussions, Because what tends to happen is we tend to prioritize everything else because we think that's what makes us good. You prioritize your children because that's what a good parent does. And you prioritize your employees because that's what a good business owner does. You prioritize your friends because that's what a good friend does. But is that really the right place to start? Because what happens when you break down is that you can't serve anybody. In fact, what ends up happening is that everybody has to rev up to help you. Mm-hmm. And to fill in those gaps that you've left. So this is why our three core values at Whole Shift Wellness all revolve around this. It's be selfish, take care of yourself as if you are the most important person of your life, because you are. Mm-hmm. But then also be selfless, do it so that you can be of greater service and you can be your best self in society and serve others in the always remember that you're capable of way more than you think you are. Mm-hmm. So, just to answer your question, essentially, the way to handle a difficult moment, a challenge, a breakdown, is to come back to yourself first and foremost, and do so selfishly, but do so because you know that it's the most selfless thing you will ever do. Because nothing in your life will work if you don't work.
Mm-hmm. And that's powerful. That's very powerful because it all starts with you. You can't give what you don't have, If you're not in good shape, you'll not be able to give anything to anybody. Thank you for reminding us of that as well, Patrick, what about yourself? What was your experience going through your challenging moment?
You know, I don't think we have time to cover all of it, obviously.
Just pick one.
As an entrepreneur, I mean,
Yeah.
man, you're going to go through a lot of challenges,
Yeah.
you know, and that's, you know, I could share a lot of things about, you know, leaving my job after 10 years and the fears of leaving. I mean, the financial security and, you know, what I went to school for 5 years, on top of other things. A few years later, I got fired from a job, actually, shortly after I left my teaching career. It was the best thing that happened to me in hindsight. And, you know, I could talk about my wife and I. We went through a lot of fertility issues, and now we have a beautiful adopted daughter that is almost 3. So a lot of personal struggles I really bring to the table with clients, whether it's one-on-one or whether it's their business, because everybody has challenges and obstacles. Everybody does, right? And the best advice that I can give people is, number one, you just have to be persistent. And a lot of people get frustrated when they're trying to attack obstacles or challenges because, number one, they don't know what the ultimate goal or their vision is kind of at the end of the road of where they really want to be. You know, most people don't have a plan. People by nature, I think most people aren't very good at goal setting. In fact, they're probably extremely poor at goal setting. They don't know how to do it effectively. They don't know how to reverse engineer the process to really break it down to the absolute simplest steps that you can just do in the present moment or in the present day, whether it is you as an individual or whether it is your business and communicating things to your employees. You have to break things down very, very simply. And you have to know what is the long game that you're going for. You have to kind of, I always like to use the phrase, you kind of got to keep your eye on the prize, but don't focus on that. You know, don't focus on the mountaintop, focus on the step right in front of you. And, you know, and ultimately, like we've kind of talked already, it comes down to taking ownership of what do you want out of your life or your business or your health or whatever it may be. You have to be very, very clear on those things. And most people have never sat down and thought to an extremely deep extent of what do they want, and more importantly, why do they want it? Why is it extremely important to them? And once somebody comes to those conclusions, then you can start to put the pieces together and you can start to develop a plan as far as what do I need to do right now today to get a little bit closer to where I want to be. But I would say most people, most businesses, a lot of the time they are just drifting. They're being very, very reactive to life and things instead of being proactive and really driving and getting laser focused toward maybe 1 or 2 goals in particular.
And that's what's funny because, you know, when we plan our vacation or anything, we're very organized and we have a plan and everything is well set. But when it comes down to our life, which is actually the most important thing, we tend to be very, you know, vague and don't really take the time to go through the step that you've just described. And that's that's part of the education that people need to get, because I think those are the things that we don't learn at school or in any institution. And so that's why coaches and mentors are very important, to reiterate that we always have to be, you know, have a plan, know what we want, and it's all start with us, because otherwise nothing is going to happen. So, I mean, going through, obviously, all those challenges, you came through okay. So what do you think are the pillar of your success, or whatever you call it right now, where you are? What have been the key pillar? And, you know, can you share a little bit of what you think, Serena?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, much like Patrick, I also have a life before health and wellness where I had literally a very different life. I've been almost through a couple of rebirths in my life, and this is my latest one. I was in a completely different field, doing very different things, which I loved at that time. However, I grew them and realized where my real passion resided, and I took a very brave stance at the risk of losing everything, which I did, for the sheer calling of fulfilling my passion. And so I would say that that's most definitely one of the most fundamental things that has allowed me to get as far as I've gotten and not give up when when life was throwing really big challenges at me and things were really getting really tough. I believe honestly that everybody has a purpose in this world to fulfill. I genuinely believe that we all have that calling within us. However, sadly, because our education system is a little bit updated, and our parents, meaning well, sometimes tend to pass on to us things that really only belong to them. We get out of touch what this real calling, what this real passion is, and we get sidetracked. And the truth of the matter is that many people never get a chance or find a way to get in touch with this passion and with this calling. Although I also see that a lot of that is changing, and more individuals are really kind of making an effort to get in touch with it. But I honestly think that we all have it inside of us. We all have a purpose that can become a means of income, but that is really deeply tied into what makes us want to get up in the morning. And it has to do with being of service and contribution to others, and so finding your true ultimate passion and setting it up in such a way that you're having the greatest possible impact on those around you, focusing on contribution more than anything else will actually make you more successful than if you were only ultimately focusing on being successful. So I think that's probably the junction that has allowed us to get to where we're at and not give up and stay strong and stay with it and break through this junction of passion and doing it in a way that contributes to others. But then also one thing that I am really profoundly motivated and moved by in the work that we do is making a difference in the world. And, for an instance, I'm a plant-based nutrition consultant, and all of our clients are able to shift towards plant-based eating in ways that they couldn't even imagine possible before they started working with us. And that is one of the ways that we are making a massive contribution to the world, because essentially shifting towards eating more plants and less animal products has such profound, huge repercussions on the well-being of the entire planet. So when you manage to tap into these big missions, of fulfilling your true passion, being in service of others, and doing something big for the world as a whole, I think that's when you feel like a real winner in life, and you can face whatever challenge and find a solution to it and navigate it as tough as it may be.
Wow, that's so being of service to other, and wow, that's the big one to fight right now, because a lot of people actually focus on being successful, so really trying to run the race on their own, and they just realize at some point that they're stuck because they're actually connected to the rest of us, and they need to connect with us. So I like it. I really like it. Patrick, what about yourself?
Yeah, I would say, come back to your question, the kind of key pillars of my success. Number one, I would say diving deep and really finding myself and working from the inside out has been one of the greatest things I have ever done. I mean, the greatest thing I have ever done personally, and kind of what led me into this whole career and profession of helping others in what I do now is really me going through that process myself, of really, really taking a deep dive on my story, where I've been, who I am, and what's really important to me. And once I started to around those, it's a lot easier to figure out how you want to help others and provide value to others based on my experience. So I would say, I'm a relationship builder. Definitely. I'm a very, very relatable person. That's one of the top compliments I always get from clients and businesses after I work with them or speak with them. Because there's a human element to all of this. You know, when you are a coach and you're working with businesses and things, people, when it comes down to it, it is about relationships. It's about being real. It's about being human, you know, and if you can connect with people on that level, because I'm a big believer in you have to get down to an emotional level in order to cause transformation in people. And I'll bet Serena would probably agree with that. That you have to make that connection. You know, if it's a superficial, shallow connection and you aren't really creating that emotional tie to somebody, it's going to be tough. It's going to be really, really tough. And, you know, the other thing I would say too is just staying motivated by keeping in mind what long-term goals are. And I kind of spoke to that already, you know, instead of focusing on just the short-term successes, you know, what is that long-term, years down the road, decades down the road of where I want to be, the value I want to provide other people, how I want to help other people. Those are the things that get me excited to wake up and get to work every single day. When I was in a regular career job, it did not happen like that. Believe me, it was not exciting every day to get up and go to work.
I think we all experienced that. That's why we went the way that we went. So, but it's a good start. But at some point, you need more. And I really like what you said is that you have to go inside, know who you are, what you want. Because if you don't know, you know, you basically have to know your mission and your purpose. Because if you don't know it, then you just you are errant in the world and you don't really do anything. I mean, you might get lucky at some point, but
if you never set your sails in a direction, you're never going to be going anywhere in particular.
Exactly. So, and that's a key one to remember, especially as far as success is concerned. So let's talk about the future. I mean, you obviously have, you know, a lot of experience in different area. And what are your expectations for the future? What legacy do you want to leave? And I mean, if it's about legacy for you, what do you want, you know, what do you expect from the future? Serena.
Yeah, wow, that's a powerful question. Yeah. Well, it kind of ties in a little bit with what we've been talking about. I think that humans, and our generation in particular, are facing right now are actually a side effect of the great time that we live in. Because, you know, back in the days, we probably didn't have to question our choices when it came to career paths, because there weren't that many choices, you know, definitely not as many choices as we have in these days and age. It was probably hardly unlikely 40, 50, 60 years ago for our parents and grandparents to be able to give up their secure jobs and create a business from scratch and thrive and even build a global business from their own homes. So I think actually the needs for coaches and mentors is very much a side effect of the great time that we live in, where we are pushing our boundaries, and we're able to do so because, you know, the world allows us to really turn our passions into profit. And I see more of that coming in the future for sure. And if I could inspire anybody to do that for themselves, that would be mission accomplished for me, because I genuinely think that there will come a time when it's not even a question whether you do what you love or not. It's what everybody does. Everybody finds the courage to fulfill the truest potential in life. And, you know, the education system is in need of a massive upgrade, and I think action steps are being taken in order to support this new way of living, so that children are not simply educated on knowledge for the sake of it. They're educated on learning about themselves and learning to find their passion and their true calling. So that's what I would love to see in the future, and that's kind of some of the legacy that I like to leave behind is to really allow humans to tap into their greatest potential. Because, you know, like I said before, one of our values is to play big. And like Patrick was saying as well, we tend to underestimate what we are capable of doing. And still, we are constantly evolving and growing and achieving amazing things. Okay, imagine what the world would look like if we all lived in purpose, and if we all lived like we three, feeling happy to go to work every day. That's my hopes for the world, and the little contribution that I'm doing. And then, you know, inevitably, health and well-being is at the core of everything that I do, and will continue to remain so, because like I said, at a very young age I became very present with what it's like when you don't have it. So if I my goal, my mission is to inspire as many people as possible in my life to really value it like it's valued, like the most important thing in your life above anything and anyone else. Because if you don't have that, you don't have anything. So my work revolves around that, and will continue to revolve around that, empowering people to really see the true value of their greatest level of health and well-being, and never ever giving up on striving to improve in that field.
And I think that's going to be the challenge as well, because we're not in the, you know, fourth industrial industrialization, and there's a lot about, you know, artificial intelligence and robotics, and so it's important to remind everybody that the key is going to be the human touch and all those what they call soft skills, which are called strong skills, that actually going to make the difference, and we should really focus on that for the future. So thanks for giving us your insight here. So what do you expect, Patrick, for the future, and what legacy do you want to leave?
Yeah, really, number one is providing as much value and guidance to as many people as possible, you know, and really helping others, whether it's individuals, groups, businesses, whatever it may be, allow them to see and help show them of what they are truly capable of, because we do only tap into a fraction of what we are capable of on a personal and professional level. So for me, personally, what that looks like is I really want to be standing on a stage in front of thousands of people, really, truly influencing them to go after what they really want and to take ownership of their lives, whether it's professionally, with their family, personally, whatever it may be. I'm also in the process right now of writing a book that I hope to have out sometime within the next few months to year. On just living a higher performance life and breaking it down to very, very simple habits that will help move the needle week by week, I guess you could say. And then, you know, as I help more people and businesses grow, my goal is that they turn around and pay it forward. You know, ultimately that's why we help others, is to raise them up. And then the goal is, when they reach that new level, that they can turn around and do the exact same thing and help others, because really that's what it is all about, is helping others so that they can become their best self. And once they are their best self, then they can turn around and return the favor elsewhere as well.
And that's when do we start to create some positive impact, and this ripple effect is actually improving the life of everybody. So that's very good. Any concluding message for you, and anything that's happening that you want to tell our audience? Or I know that you have a lot of projects, Serena, so tell us about your projects.
Yeah, so interestingly, my book is due out next month. It's called Make the Shift, a proven methodology for busy professionals to shift to their most fit, healthy, and confident self. And it revolves around the 3 pillars of well-being, as we've come to identify them, so that you can really get really effective tips, you know, recipes and exercises to, first of all, transform your mindset, and then also start making small incremental improvements across the 3 pillars and spark mini transformations and start shifting your life in the right direction. So that will be due out next month. we have this amazing tool on the website that I always like to mention. We've created it really with this idea of contribution, so it's completely free. Anybody can access it and do it. And it's a scorecard questionnaire that allows you to literally, by answering 40 questions, I believe it is, it takes less than 5 minutes to do. It allows you to score your current level of development across the 3 pillars of well-being, so that you can become really present. Where is it that you have the most room for improvement? And you can start utilizing the tips that we'll share through a comprehensive PDF report that you receive to start taking small little steps. Like Patrick said, we tend to kind of look at this big mountain and never take one little step in a new direction. Whereas this tool has been designed precisely to break things down in a way that you can start implementing little changes into your lifestyle and start getting new results. So that's on our website, free for anybody to spend 5 minutes doing, and they'll receive the free PDF report. And then one of the other passion projects that I've recently released is a documentary about my family's experience in dealing with my dad's mental illness. This is a passion that will never leave me, because I've been touched indirectly by mental illness, and I know what a hot topic it is, and how it can really have a profound impact not only on the person who's afflicted, but the entire community around them. And there's a lot of taboo and stigma around the conversation, and a lot of secrecy and etc. So I will never stop doing what I can to bring that conversation on the table and open it up to anybody. So the documentary is out on our YouTube channel. It's 4 minutes long, and anybody can watch it. And it's the story of my family as it pertains to my dad's mental illness. So it's literally done with the purpose of keeping that conversation open so that nobody feels alone or isolated in their own experiences and struggles with it.
And that's one of, like you said, that's one of the key issues. Make sure that people talk about it and they realize that they're not alone, because it's actually spiraling, the mental health problem around the world. So it's still very taboo. So it's good that people start to put out some tools, find a way to make sure people talk about it and then realize that they're not isolated. Patrick, what about yourself? Any projects coming on, or anything that specific that you want to talk about?
Yeah, a couple things. Number one is just continuing speaking engagements. So always looking for businesses that are having conferences, whether it's nationally here, whether it's internationally. And my style of speaking is not a rah, leave you on fire kind of talk. Mine is much more of a deeper, really get you to think about where you are at in your life and ultimately where you really, really want to be. So people leave my talks really thinking about, and I get a lot of emails after I speak from people saying, man, you really made me think about where I am and where I'm going. And I see that there's a lot more that I'm capable of doing, and a lot more things that I want to go after and chase in my life because the time is limited. So yeah, speaking engagements. And then I mentioned the book. Like I said, it's going to be basically a 52-week guide to higher performance and self-improvement in your life. And that book is really going to answer the question that a lot of people have of where do I start? Like, okay, I want to, I'm 40 years old. I want to improve my health. I want to improve my business. I want to find just more direction in my life. Where do I start? This book will start people at the absolute foundation of things like goal setting, values, what are your beliefs, and working all the way through, like I said, things like mindset, becoming more self-aware, which is really, really big. You're the most successful people in the world are very, very self-aware, through organizational techniques. And then, like I said, blending in some health wellness in there as well. And then continuing to work with businesses on the personal development side of things. So coming in and working with businesses and their employees on things like organization, time management, managing stress, taking those employees to a higher level personally so that they can achieve more professionally within your business. And then actually within the next month or so here, I'm getting my professional EOS certification. So I'll be a EOS implementer.
So what's EOS? Yeah,
EOS it stands for Entrepreneurial Operating System. So it is It is a coaching process that I take a business through
Mm-hmm.
that starts, it's very similar to what I do with individuals, where it starts a business with really identifying and clarifying your mission,
Mm-hmm.
all the way through clearing up an organization's organizational chart. How do you streamline, optimize communication, goals, meetings, all those things within a business in order to basically help them bust through a plateau or a ceiling that they are maybe experiencing.
Mm-hmm. So that's, oh, okay, that's so some very interesting projects, and I'm going to be on the lookout, especially for the books. I like reading, so it's going to be on my, I'm going to add them on my list. So where can we find you online, or especially for our viewers and listeners, where can they connect with you if they want to reach out? Tell us, Serena.
So our website is www.wholeshiftwellness, WHOLE, shift, SHIFT, wellness.com.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very active on Instagram and Facebook as well. And the tag is Whole Shift Wellness, all one word.
Mm-hmm.
So anybody that wants to get in touch with us can do so via our website, either through, like I said, filling in the scorecard questionnaire. We also have a free PDF report, completely free, available on the website that anybody might choose to download or send us an email to there. And Facebook and Instagram, or LinkedIn as well. I'm very active on LinkedIn also. Other three platforms where I can be found. We share daily tips revolving around the 3 pillars of well-being, how to empower yourself and spark the shift to your most healthy and confident self.
Well, Patrick, where can we find you if we want to connect with you?
Yep, my website is patrick-metzger.com. So first name hyphen last name Metzger.com. On that website, you can schedule a free strategy call with me, which is kind of the very first step to see if we'd be a good fit in working together and that I can help somebody out. You can find me on most every platform, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, if you just search Patrick Metzger.
Okay, so simple.
And
so
then my website also, you can fill out a
Go ahead.
Sorry, what was that?
No, sorry, it's just me here. Go ahead.
And then on my website too, there's a free masterclass that you can view. That's 30 minutes and really talking about kind of the 5 steps of high performance. And it's really going to make somebody think about where they are at and how much more they are capable of. So they can sure check that out. And then there's a contact form as far as if anybody's looking for a dynamic and impactful speaker that's going to get your group to think about things.
Okay, thank you very much, Serena and Patrick. I really want to thank you for all those, those insight and the inspiration today. And thanks for sharing your knowledge with us. I really appreciate it. And for the audience, I hope that you've been, inspired today, and that you are ready to get out of your comfort zone and step out of your greatness. We've talked about limitation today, and try to become the best that you can be. And really don't forget you are limitless. Think big, beyond your self-limiting belief, and take massive action to better yourself and better the world. So don't let life happens to you. And my motto actually is don't leave anything on the table of life. So until we meet next week again, thank you. And again, thank you, Serena and Patrick, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks, bye.
Thanks so much, Marie.
Bye.
Bye.